Empire.
Will he stay or will he go? What's up, everybody? It's another episode of the Football Jones podcast. I am Mike Jones, and we are talking about Tom Brady. We are a week out from the legal tampering window when teams can start talking to players about potential contracts. And then 2 days later, March 18th, teams can start signing players to contracts. And so we're going to find out very soon. This question of Tom Brady's future continues to loom over the NFL. It's huge suspense because it's going to trigger a lot of dominoes. And so we're going to talk about it today. And as a guest, I've got my colleague, Nancy Armour, sports columnist from USA Today Sports. And we're going to talk about it. She wrote about Brady last week. I'm writing about Brady today and just what it all means, what issues have to be resolved. And so we're going to get to it right now. All right, now I'm really happy to be joined by my colleague, Nancy Armour, columnist, USA Today Sports. We've both been tackling this subject as best as we can, where Tom Brady's going, because it's the big story. Are you enjoying this, Nancy, or are you getting tired of it?
I think it's kind of funny. I love the NFL because other sports will talk about how, we have so much, this sport has all this drama and all the soap opera things. And it's like, the NFL is saying, hold my beer. And this is a perfect example of it because, nobody knows anything about what Tom Brady is going to do. As you just said, he might not even know, but every little thing is examined and parsed out. What did he say to Julian Edelman? Let's bring in lip readers. What did he tell Charlie Weiss? Did he have a phone call with Belichick? Did it not last long enough? I mean, it's like, it's this obsession and I totally understand it, but it makes it kind of fun because, there's something to pay attention to in the off season.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I feel like there hasn't been this much anticipation over a decision since LeBron's decision.
I was thinking, because when I wrote about this last week, I was trying to think of that too. And I was trying to think of it from an NFL perspective. And I can't think of the last time an NFL person, but in terms of any sport, I think you're right. I think LeBron is probably really the only comparison.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like LeBron was in his prime. Like we're talking about 43-year-old Brady and where he's going to go to play one more year and maybe 2 more years.
Right.
But he's still, because his stature is that high, it's so big. Where do you think he should go?
I honestly, when they lost to the Titans, I thought for sure that was his last game at Gillette. I thought, this is his way of saying goodbye. Mm-hmm. But the more I've looked at it, and also too, just kind of like, would he be a great fit in San Francisco? Of course he would be. Would he be a great fit for the Rams? Yes. The Chargers? Yes. But then if you kind of drill down and look at like, okay, the systems, the coaches, as I just said to you, like Indianapolis would be a perfect fit. He's not going to Indy that started Deflategate. I mean, that's just not happening. So as you kind of like check all of these ones off, he's also going to go somewhere where, he's not going to be part of a rebuild effort. So I think really he has 2 options at this point. I think the Titans and I think probably the Patriots. And granted, the Patriots don't have the weapons around him that he needs. But if they agree to go out and get him some new toys, maybe that's enough.
Yeah, I agree with you. As I was at the Combine a couple weeks ago, didn't matter what restaurant, what bar that you went, that you were talking to people, everybody's got a different theory on what's going to happen. Everybody's got a theory on what should happen. And as I'm talking to people and I'm thinking I'm trying to check off these boxes here and figure out, and there's not a whole lot. I mean, we'll go through, like you said, Indianapolis. They've got a great coach in Frank Reich. They've got a good defense.
Yep.
But why would that not appeal to Brady?
Well, offensive line is somewhat questionable.
The weapons are, I don't know, outside of, T.Y. Hilton, if it's much better than what he was working with in Indy, and Hilton can't stay on the field.
Yep.
And it's Indianapolis,
Yes.
nice city, but if you're thinking about, Giselle and all that stuff, that's one aspect that comes up. I just don't know that it has enough shine to it. Then let's go out to California, okay? So the Chargers, why would you think they would be good, and why should we cross them off the list?
I've always liked Lynn. I think he's a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think their defense is pretty decent. I think they've got enough. They have a decent offense. I don't think it's good. Clearly they had issues last year if you can't win with Phillip Rivers, but they're also they're in a lot of ways, they're a nomadic team. They don't even have a fan base. Does he want to go and play in front of a stadium that, is not a bunch of adoring fans? It's, Raiders fans and Packers fans and whoever the Chargers are happen to play that week. I mean, yeah, would he put some butts in the seats for the Chargers? Sure, but I don't think it'd be comparable to the experience that he's used to. I don't know if he cares about that, but I think it would certainly be different than having played in Foxborough for, his entire career.
Exactly. And I mean, they're not a team that's on the fringe.
No.
As good as he is, and they've got, some great wide receivers. They just re-signed Austin Eckler at running back. Melvin Gordon sounds like he's going to be gone, but they're not ready to compete with Kansas City.
No, not at all.
They're not ready.
They're in a different universe.
Exactly. Right. So that's why we crossed them off right there. Tampa Bay, Bruce Arians is a cool guy.
Yeah.
They got a lot out of Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston also got a lot.
Good and bad.
Right. Why would people talk about them as an option? Why would you like that for him? Why would you hate that for him?
I think what you just mentioned, Bruce Arians, and also too, I think what Bruce has done Bruce is a genius offensively. I think anyway, like the stuff that he puts in place and the chances that he's willing to take. I love his staff. I think for me, Tampa Bay is kind of similar to Indy. Like, is he really going to go to Tampa Bay? If you're going to go somewhere in Florida, why wouldn't you go to Miami?
Ooh, yeah, but
I don't think he's doing that either. But
my only reason why I would say that he would maybe consider. The thing is, we don't know what he wants. Is this
right?
Like Michael Jordan with the Wizards wanting the challenge of taking this team full of scrubs to show he can win with them? Or does Brady want to win more rings? And I think he wants to win more rings. So
I do too.
Why I crossed Tampa off the list.
Yeah, and I think, it's not – I don't think he has to go to somebody who, I don't think he has to go to a Niners or, he's certainly not going to Kansas City. But, I don't think he has to go to a team that was in the Super Bowl or in, the AFC or NFC championship. But I think he has to go to a team where he feels like he's going to have a chance, he's not going to be playing for draft picks next year.
No, exactly. And I just feel like, you mentioned San Francisco. I think John Lynch was pretty strong when he said that they're committed to Jimmy Garoppolo. I've talked to Kyle Shanahan about a lot of things, just since training camp on through the season. And I feel like they like what they're building there. This was Jimmy G's first full season that he played.
Right.
I don't think that they'd scrap that experiment already and go for Brady. So that's why I would cross them off the list.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And, if this were somebody who, I'm trying to think, if you could get, if they were looking at getting, say, a Patrick Mahomes who has his entire career ahead of him, that's different. Right. But as you said, it's a rent-a-player for a couple of seasons, 2, maybe 3. And with, San Francisco was far better, I think, than any of us imagined at the beginning of the year. But this is the start of their I don't want to call it a dynasty, but the start of their run. You don't want to just bring somebody in for a couple seasons and then really have to start over with your offense.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it would be doing. I don't know that Brady, who's a strong personality, and Kyle, who's a strong personality, I feel like if Brady's going to go somewhere, then he's going to have like not free reign, but a lot of say on what they run and how they run it. And that's why I feel like if he's going anywhere, Tennessee is probably the best place, because Vrabel's his buddy.
Right.
He's going to be like, hey, man, like, you know what you want to run. You'll sit down here with our coaches. We'll figure it all out for you. And, you know, you've got the keys to the place.
Yeah. And I think, you know, it's different too. Like Vrabel is obviously a defensive mind. So
Right.
he is not going to be jamming something offensively down Brady's throat. You know, if Brady says, I want to be doing this, Vrabel's probably going to be like, yeah, go ahead. Do what you need to do. Whereas obviously that's not going to be the case with Shanahan. Also too, he doesn't really have a history with Shanahan. So I kind of feel like he does not, and why would you at this point? He's not going to want to start over in terms of learning a new person.
Mm-hmm.
Which then, you know, that lends to Vrabel. It also lends to going back to New England.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And Tennessee, like we talked about, they're not in rebuilding mode. They lost in the AFC Championship game with Ryan Tannehill, who
Right.
exceeded everybody's expectations. So you imagine if you had Brady there, a healthy Brady. They've got young, talented weapons. They've got Derrick Henry, so he can hand the ball off. The burden will not be as great on him. And he's got the former Patriots general manager, John Robinson, you know, who's worked in their front office, who's the general manager there at the Titans. He's got some other former Patriots on the roster. That one would make sense to me. But even so, I still I don't know. I mean, that's still a big change, even though it is a change to familiar faces.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I don't get the sense that money matters to him. It certainly hasn't in New England. So I don't know that it's going to come down to, you know, can Tennessee offer him enough? I guess it's a question of, do you stick with what you know, or do you want the challenge of going somewhere else? And like you said, I mean, given everything that they have, Tennessee's not exactly a challenge, but it's certainly a challenge in terms of learning a new team, learning a new city, learning, you know, and Vrabel has done obviously incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have to remember, there was one point last season that people were wondering if Vrabel was going to make it through the season. So it's not as if he has, you know, completely established himself as this great coach. I mean, I think he has by the end of the season, but there were questions about him last year.
Yeah. And so that's why I feel like if they'll have him back, which we don't know,
right?
You know, the Patriots are the best thing. Now, they did want to give him a multi-year extension back in August, and he wanted just the 1 year and wanted it to void after the year and not be franchised again. But I think that was just to kind of, you know, be able to review his options and everything like that. I think Brady is having fun with this. I mean, that's just what I gather from what I see.
I think he is too. And I think you look at his social media stuff. He loves tweaking people. You know, the ad at the Super Bowl is a perfect example.
Right.
So yeah, I'm sure he knows that everybody is hanging on his every word, lack of a word, you know, where he pops up. So yeah, I'm sure he's having fun with this. And, you know, if you wanted to be the ultimate troll, what would be more fun than having all of the NFL be like, where's he going? Where's he going? Is he going here? Is he going here? And then for him to go back to New England, like it would be, it would really kind of be the ultimate, like, haha. So there's kind of part of me that thinks that he's thinking about that too.
Yeah, exactly. And just when I look at New England, I'm like, they don't have a good contingency plan in place.
They have no contingency plan.
Are you going to go trade for Andy Dalton? I mean, are you going to draft somebody? I mean, I think the best thing for them is Brady for 1 more year, draft a kid in the 2nd or 3rd round, groom him behind Brady, let Brady ride off into the sunset after 2020, and then you turn to your next guy.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, the free agent class is not, once you get beyond Brady and Breeze, the free agent class is okay. It's not great. Like, you don't have you know, somebody who can come in and like somebody that they could go out and get and it immediately be like, all right, they're going to be okay. You know, maybe not Brady-esque, but they'll be fine. But whoever steps into that role is going, I mean, God love him, but he's going to have a rough time because the expectations are going to be what Brady and Belichick have done together. And that's just probably not realistic. And what their backups right now are Kessler and Stidham. Neither of those two has had really any kind of experience. Do you really want to throw one of them into the fire?
Yeah.
I'd say no.
Yeah, I just don't see it from talking to people. I don't think people there see them as, okay, that guy. Only guy I think would be kind of intriguing would be Teddy Bridgewater. Totally different than Brady in style of play, but that kid's got something special. If he could just stay healthy, I think that McDaniel and Belichick could scheme up all kinds of stuff for Teddy Bridgewater, but they do have to continue to beef up the line around him and give him more weapons. But if Brady's gone, that's a guy that I would like to see them turn to.
That's true. I was overlooking him, but yeah, you're right. But you brought up a great point. They'd have to upgrade pretty much that entire line, especially given Teddy's history. Like, you cannot let him get, you got to protect, you've got to like bubble wrap him.
Yeah, exactly. So it just makes too much sense. They've got to bring Brady back.
Well, and there's always been this talk of, Brady wants to prove he can win without Belichick. Belichick wants to prove he can win without Brady. Setting Brady aside, Belichick doesn't care. Belichick would coach a team of Smurfs if he thought he could win. Like that doesn't matter to him. I think his concern is probably, or what he's thinking about is, how long of a contract is he going to want? Because I know the end is coming at some point. And I think his concern is he doesn't want to hamstring the Patriots, but I don't think he cares. The last thing Bill Belichick thinks about necessarily is his legacy. And he certainly doesn't think about it in terms of, oh, you've only won with Brady. He won with, his name is escaping me, when Brady was hurt that one year.
With Jimmy Garoppolo or Castle.
Yeah, it was Matt Castle. Yeah. But also, with Garoppolo and Brissett, when Brady was suspended. So I don't think that Brady is, or that Belichick is looking to separate himself from Brady just to prove that what he can do. I think he's already proven it, and I don't think he cares.
I feel like you're exactly right as far as like just wanting to. Belichick is famous for moving on from guys before it's too late.
Right.
Cuts the cord. A season, maybe two. As Vrabel knows, he's still salty about getting shipped out of New England before his career was over. But Belichick always does that. Now, is Robert Kraft going to step in there and be like, you know what, Bill, I just can't do this. I can't look at him in another uniform. We have to bring him back, whatever he wants. I don't know. I do know he loves him. One person I talked to said, I wouldn't be shocked if New England gives him a 2-year, $70 million deal. That's a lot of money, but Robert Kraft really loves him.
Right. And not only does he really loves him, they don't, as we just said, they don't have a great backup plan. If you give him 2 years and then you tell Belichick, okay, you've got 2 years to figure out a replacement plan. And Brady, you know what? You've been a bad mentor, or you've not been a great mentor necessarily to other people. So you're going to have to fix that, or you're going to have to work on that in the next 2 years. If you can do that, then it makes a whole lot of sense to bring him back.
Yeah, it's still so crazy though that we're thinking about, okay, he'll be 44, 45. That's really uncharted territory. I think if I were them, I would rather do that 2 years, but make it voidable, or make them be able to get out of that deal if pretty easily in year 2, if Father Time just slaps him across the face this season.
Yeah, because, anytime I write this, people in New England scream at me, but we have seen signs of decline in him the last 2 years. And 2 years ago, they were able to paper over it, obviously get to win the Super Bowl. Last year, there were all kinds of problems around him, but he also wasn't the Brady that we're used to seeing. His numbers in the second half were way down.
Right.
The elbow injury certainly had a role to play in that, but he wasn't the difference maker that he's been in previous seasons. Now, is that solely because of the elbow injury, or is that because he's, on the other side of 40? We don't know. This is a cruel game, and when it turns on you fast. And so who knows what we'll see.
Yeah. But like you wrote last week, this could be a really great season based on what happens with him, just because of all the intrigue. Do the Patriots still find a way? Does he bounce back? Can he help put a team over the hump? There's so much drama here. That's going to make it, we'll get our popcorn ready.
Yeah. That is probably the one reason I would like to see him go somewhere else, just because of, oh my God, every week it'd be, when Bill Belichick said we're moving on to Cincinnati, was that a reference back to Brady? Did Brady throw shade at the Patriots? It would be hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. It would be. So I guess we'll find out now. We are a week away from the NFL's legal tampering window. 2 days after that, teams can sign. I wonder if Brady's going to make a quick decision or if he's going to drag this thing out to see what the Patriots get, on their roster before he, goes somewhere. I don't know, but there's a lot of dominoes that have to fall that are really going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, well, and the other thing, I've wondered about that too, because there are a lot of dominoes to fall just in the quarterback race, quarterback free agency, because everybody's waiting to see what Brady does. So, does he hold everybody up, or like you said, does he make a quick decision? It's because, it basically dictates the rest of free agency in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, we will be here for it, documenting it for you guys. Nancy, tell everybody where they can find you.
On Twitter at NR Armour, and of course at USA Today, which is usatoday.com/sports.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have to do it again soon.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks. I will see you.
Okay. Bye.
All right, like I said, we will keep you posted. Stay tuned, and we're going to have all the latest news on Tom Brady within the next week. Reaction, what it means. I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to this. Even if he stays, I think it's going to be interesting because of just the question of, okay, can he do it? Can he play at a high level? Can he keep them afloat? Or is Father Time just going to take over? I don't know, but 2020 is going to feature great Tom Brady related intrigue no matter where he is. Thanks for listening to another episode. Again, you can read me at usatoday.com. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @ByMikeJones. Please take this link, pass it on to a friend or two. Give me a review, and I will talk to you guys again next week, when by that time we should know something about the CBA, because that vote is Thursday, and it'll be right on the doorstep of the start of free agency. See you later.